welcome to another episode of the Crispy Noodle Podcast. Let us be the Crispy Noodle in your vegetarian salad of life and boring news. I'm Rich Liebig.
And I'm Michael Costanzo.
And we are here to give you some interesting tidbits in real sports, entertainment, and odd news. We have a lot to get to. Week 2 of the NFL's in the books.
Yep.
We've got another update when it comes to the writer's strike. And then, of course, we've got some interesting odd news to cap off the show. But before we get to all that at hand, we like to do a little personal bit to let you know what we've been up to since we last did the podcast. So, Mikey, my friend, how you doing? What's happening in Costanzo country?
I'm doing good. I finished White Lotus season 2 recently.
There you go. Now you know all of the best supporting actor
absolutely
choices.
That's a thing that I try to do. You know, I try to keep up to date with the nominees for the Emmys and the Oscars and all those things.
Well, you got a lot of time now to do it with the writer's strike delaying the Emmy Awards.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things you can do while we're waiting for everything to come back is check out all the award nominees and make sure that we're up to date on all that stuff. So I watched White Lotus season 2. Absolutely fantastic. I won't say anything to avoid spoilers, but I just love the dark comedy vibes of it because it's dark and dramatic, but it's also humorous. Like a lot of it is very funny.
It is a comedy.
Yeah. So it's fantastic. I love how they create these insidious, like dark webs that kind of ensnare everybody. But in the end, it's always something completely unexpected.
Yeah.
You know, and I really appreciate that. It always like, you know, they've revealed who died and how they died. And I'm like, really? That's how it happened? And I'm like, but like it kind of perfectly fits as well.
Yeah.
You know, so you just got to go watch it to check it out and see what I'm talking about because it's fantastic. But I also have been reading a lot recently. So
nerd.
Yeah.
You nerd over there.
I read a literary fiction about kind of about game development, really, called Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. It's a fantastic book. It was the 2022 Book of the Year award winner. It's really hard to sum up very briefly, but it basically tells the life story of these two friends whose lives run parallel, intersect, collide at different times as they kind of learn to live life through adversity, and they use that adversity to make games, and it's kind of about the joys and the love of play, just at a very high level. It's really, really good. Dabbles in a little bit of like experimental fiction, not too much, with playing with form and style, but just a fantastic story, just a classic literary fiction character drama. But that's something I've been trying to do. I've been trying to read a bit more to educate myself, you know.
Okay, hoity-toity professor.
At one time in my life, yes. I read books, I taught, I did intelligent-sounding things. Now look at me.
Yeah, now you do a podcast.
Now look at me.
Whee! Yes.
So
one of us, Google.
It's never too late to educate yourselves. But that's what I've been doing. What have you been up to?
So I finished Painkiller. That was
nice.
Yeah. Matthew Broderick appeared in like all of my media items.
You surprised me when you said Matthew Broderick was in Painkiller.
Yeah, because he's in Painkiller, and then I'm watching this week's episode of Only Murders in the Building, and he showed up in a cameo. I'm like, what? Hey, Matthew Broderick, what are you doing? There was a time I didn't hear from you at all.
Yeah, he like disappeared for a while, right?
Yeah, and now he popped up in everything I was watching this weekend on TV. So I was like, hey, what's happening there? Are you going to show up in the NFL game too?
He might. Who knows?
Yeah.
I liked him in Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah, it was
good.
a nice little cameo, which I've been loving this current season.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. So, that's what I've been doing pretty much. That and following football because we are now going gung-ho, full-blown into the NFL season. Should we just jump into it?
Yeah, let's just get into it.
That's really what I want to talk about because that's what we do here. Not only do we cover the sports in the NFL, but it's also like a therapy session after every Eagles game.
Boy, do we need it.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it.
So officially, let's launch into the sports sampler.
So you're not good at sports. It's a very small part of life.
Sports. In your face. Ha ha!
Yep, sports coming at you in your face here in our first batch of topics to start off the podcast with. And the Eagles pull off a close win I'm going to jump right to the Eagles. I'm
Yeah,
going to go right to
all
the
right,
Eagles.
go for it.
Because I need therapy on this. The Eagles pulled off the win on Thursday Night Football. But again, it was kind of the definition of another ugly win. I mean, there were a lot of things that didn't go right in this game. They had to score some points on turnovers. They had some lucky breaks.
I mean, at one point it was 27-14.
Yeah.
And
they
you're
should have run away
and
with
you're
it.
thinking game over. Right? At the
Well,
end of the third, it's 20
You're,
it's
you're
20
thinking they should run away with this.
They should.
They should put the nail in the coffin.
They were up by 2 scores starting the fourth quarter, and the Vikings come storming back, score 14 points in the fourth quarter. The Eagles do ultimately win it, but Rich, I don't know. I don't know how many weeks I can take of these close, sloppy games where we just kind of stumble to the finish line.
Yeah.
Is this
It's
sustainable?
sloppy is the key word.
Yeah. Is this sustainable?
No. Not if this, this play that happens where the offense stalls and then they rely on a big turnover or decision to go their way. Because there was a lot of points left that didn't go up on the scoreboard between Justin Jefferson fumbling for a touchback. That should have been 7 points for the Vikings. Between the Eagles, between Jalen Hurts getting sacked on that drive, that he got sacked twice, back-to-back, knocked him out of field goal range in the third quarter. That really would have put the game on ice.
Yeah.
If they had kicked a field goal and gone up, I think that point they would have been up 16 or 17.
That makes it. I mean, that's comfortable breathing room. But instead, you're right. They don't get that.
Right, and it just needlessly lets these games get more pressure in the fourth quarter where they could have had this out of reach.
The problem when
They're not putting the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Good teams put other teams away when they can.
especially when they're struggling like the Vikings were in that game. Kirk Cousins had an amazing stat line, but they really struggled with the turnovers, with not being able to put points on the board. We had every opportunity to put them away, like you said. And I know we're looking at this kind of first world problem-esque where we're 2-0. Lots of teams would kill to be 2-0 right now. The Bengals, the Chiefs, the Bills.
That's right.
All struggling. However, you make a good point about it, kind of like making those fourth quarters tight games, because when you get further in the season and you're playing these really high quality, high caliber playoff style teams, in the fourth quarter, if it's that close, every little issue and complication becomes compounded.
Yes, becomes magnified.
Right? So in week 2, Hurts getting sacked twice in a row and having to settle and not being able to punch it in for a score. Sure. Week 15, wild card round, divisional round, you do something like that,
That could kill you.
It's a completely different story. That's why I'm almost glad we're having this happen now, because the Eagles' season last year started off very much the same way, and they found a way to iron out the kinks. But the clock is ticking.
Yeah.
The NFL season is not very long.
The string is only so far.
Right.
Like I could chalk this up to first game jitters,
Short week as well.
new coordinators.
The Vikings, it was a short week. It was 4 days. They had to prepare.
Yeah, I
it was 4 days.
guess.
It was 4 days.
All right, yeah, I guess you could do that as well. They did have 2 games within 4 days. Yeah, that's true.
So new coordinator, short rest, 3 guys out in the defensive backfield. James Bradbury, Reed Blankenship, Avonte Maddox.
Blankenship is a big one.
Blankenship and Bradbury will be back probably pretty soon. Avonte Maddox out for the year, but you're missing 3 guys in the secondary. You're also missing Nakobe Dean.
Yeah,
And-
Kobe Dean's a big loss.
And we stayed in the game. So there are some bright spots to take away from this. My biggest concern, and I'm going to sound like, God forbid, a sports talk radio caller, where I'm going to take a little bit of issue with Jalen Hurts here in this game.
You are not the guy. You're not capable of being the guy. I had a guy, but now I don't. You are not the guy.
Is it time to
Listen,
bring back the "You're Not the Guy" segment?
I giveth the guy award. I can taketh away.
Oh no!
Because I gave Hurts
Uh-oh.
after the Super Bowl loss. Everybody remembers. I'm like, he is the guy. The way that he played in the Super Bowl was absolutely astounding. I'm like, he's the guy. I trust. I believe. Now I don't know. Am I catching a whiff of Wentz 2.0?
You are not the guy. You're not capable of being the guy. I had a guy, but now I don't. You are not the guy.
We're bringing back that segment.
Those of you that have listened to the podcast know that last year I refused to say that Hurts was the guy, even at the height of his success, because I believed it I was single-handedly compelling him to perform better.
So now we got to get back on his case.
So I got to get back on his case because he's the type of guy that works best under pressure and with a bunch of doubters and naysayers, hounding him. So I'm gonna be that naysayer right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna harp on him a little bit. No, joking aside, Hurts did struggle.
Yeah.
However, again, we were looking for the bright side of things here. We're trying to find the silver lining, right, in our playbook. The Vikings took away the RPO. Hurts couldn't scramble. They were dropping a lot of guys into coverage. You couldn't pass. So what did the Eagles do? We pivoted at halftime, and we rammed the ball down the Vikings' throat.
Yeah, the running game was very effective.
DeAndre Swift, 175 yards on the ground by himself. So it's great to see our offense pivot and make adjustments because they did. So we have to take, yes, it was a tight game. Yes, it was sloppy. But take those kernels of those good things that are happening and, try to envision them expanding, right? Because that's what can happen here. We were able to pivot. We saw what was happening. We adjusted. Not many teams can do that. The fact that we can hurt them any different way. They take away the RPO, fine. That's great. We're just going to straight up run it on you.
Yeah.
So positives to take away, but still worrying that Hurts, just like last year. The big criticism, he doesn't see the middle of the field.
Yeah.
He's not getting past his first read, and he's not making those intermediate throws. It's either 50 yards to Devontae Smith or behind the line of scrimmage to a check down. He's not doing anything in between.
Yeah, and look, this is starting to get annoying because Dallas Goedert should be a top 10 tight end, and I think he only has 2 catches in 2 games. Like, this is embarrassing. Like, he needs to be more active in the passing game.
We need him to be a presence.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has 2 catches for 6. No, sorry. He has 6 catches for 22 yards.
Okay, 22 yards of
over 2 games.
Over 2 games.
He's averaging 11 yards a game.
That's not
top 5 tight end. And going into the season, we're like, he's a top 5 tight end. He's a top 5 tight end. Not by these numbers, he's not.
No, I don't know what he did. I feel like he did something behind the scenes to warrant this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Also, I was at the game on Thursday, not to brag.
How was that?
It was a fun experience, but I will say though, I did see some drama happening. Slay was furious on a couple of zone reads where the cornerbacks were not in the spots they were supposed to be, especially on the one play on Justin Jefferson, where he should have got a touchdown, but he fumbled it and it was a touchback. They got lucky on that call. And then there was also a little bit of a drama situation with Brown.
Yeah.
He apparently got into Jalen Hurts' face a little bit there, that he wasn't getting the ball enough. Do you see this being any sort of problem, or do you think it's just normal game flow drama?
I think right now it's normal drama in an NFL game. Playmakers want the ball, and big personalities want people to, do their job. Big play Slay, he's like the consummate professional. He's an all-pro. He's like, guys, get your crap together. On the other side, A.J. Brown, he wants the ball. He's a playmaker. He wants the ball. He's been pretty much non-existent so far, so I can understand him getting frustrated. Now,
yeah, but see, here's the thing, though. With A.J. Brown, though, if you're getting double or triple teamed,
that means you're changing the game. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm not getting the ball, but you're not getting the ball because
they're targeting you.
They are blanketing you.
Right.
So here's my thing. A.J. Brown, getting heated on the sideline. Players get heated on the sideline all the time. What bothered me is the fact that, like, immediately after that, they try to force feed him the ball like 3 times in a row. You know? And so I don't know. I'm not trying to stir up drama or anything, but, like, is that Hurts and the offensive coordinator, Nick Sirianni, being like, all right, let's draw up a few plays to try and get him involved, even though he's not available?
Yeah.
I don't want our team to try and force feed the ball to somebody just because they're getting angry.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's just the nature of the game and the fact that they're all big competitors because A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts are friends in and outside of the game. So I don't think that it's indicative of a larger problem, but I do want our coaches to stand up and be like, hey, you're going to get what you get at the time that you get it. We're not going to try and force feed it to you if it's not there.
Yeah.
You know?
See, I wish that attitude would go to Dallas Goedert because
Yeah.
that needs to start operating. Like,
yeah, Dallas Goedert needs to be like, hey, guys, I am here.
Right.
Like, Dallas Goedert should be the safety valve when the RPO isn't there, when Hurts is scrambling. Dallas Goedert needs to be
Yeah,
like,
the
right
6-yard safety
there. Right.
reception.
I think it's really odd that he hasn't been involved more. I think it's really concerning that Jalen Hurts can't hit anything between 6 and 15 yards. Like, it's either like, no, I mean, literally,
Yeah.
you look at the stats and it's like, it's weird, right? So Jalen Hurts, he only threw for 193 yards, but like 170, I think it was 130 of those were Devontae Smith on 2 catches.
Yeah.
So the numbers are all weird. It's like 3 touchdowns, but 2 of them were, of course, his classic tush-push runs.
Right,
You
on
know?
the 1 yard line.
On the
yeah.
1 yard line. So the stats with Jalen Hurts more than anybody doesn't tell the whole story. It also says, I think it was like 4 sacks, but a lot of them were on failed RPOs or designed quarterback runs. So, you know, the egregious ones that you pointed out, but some of them just happen with the natural style of play. So stats are like all out of whack. He's got to
Yeah.
do something to get all that under control.
Yeah.
You know, he was making really smart decisions last year. So far, he's been, I don't know if it's rust. I don't know if it's fatigue. I don't know if it's just acclimating to a new offensive coordinator, but something right now is misfiring.
Yeah.
But I think they'll be able to get it sorted.
Well, we're definitely going to know for week 3 because they don't have an excuse now. Now they had a week and change
Yeah.
to get ready for, and more. They're going to have another day with the game being a Monday night game.
Yeah, they got a nice long break to get guys healthy, to game plan, to sort out those issues.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So there better be, some more. There better be some smoothing on this offensive, some of these offensive mistakes because it has been very, very stressful.
Yeah, I'm
watching
not
this
a fan.
offense.
I'm not a fan of the stress.
Yeah, we're back to we're back to being stressed all the time.
But it always happens like this. The Eagles always like turn it on around like week 4 or 5, and then they're good for like 5 weeks, and then they lose a random one to like some nobody team, and then they close out the season strong, and that's the way it always goes, without fail.
Well, we'll see. Do want to say Jake Elliott it was probably one of the best kickers I've ever seen.
I got to tell you, it's weird. I just feel like I got to shout out Jake because, like, after David Akers, like, we had some decent kickers, but Jake Elliott is a monster.
Yeah, he's got a monster leg.
2 61-yard field goals in his career. He's 100% on 60-plus yard field goals. No, seriously, I saw a crazy stat that I think it's only like a handful of kickers have ever made, like, multiple 60-yard field goals. And Jake Elliott just here casually in, like, what is this?
In 2 games.
In 2 games.
Yeah, has done so.
2 for 2 on 60 yards. But last week he was like what was he, 2 for 2 from 50 plus?
Yeah.
Like
he won the game for the Patriots or against us, he won the game for us against the Patriots.
So like he'll occasionally miss an extra point.
Yeah.
But over 50 he's almost automatic. I think the stat was he's over 80% from over 50.
That's crazy.
That's insane. That's
yeah.
insane.
Right.
Like all the good juju vibes on Jake Elliott.
Right.
Nothing bad happened to that leg. He's saving us right now.
Yeah, he's been the star, like consistency right now.
When you can solidly
team.
boot field goals from 50-plus yards, that gives your offense a lot of leeway.
Yeah.
Which we need right now.
Right. So there you go, a recap of the Thursday night game for our own Eagles.
The stress.
But now let's get into some other headlines. There was a big injury. This might be a new segment. Just every week there's going to be a big injury or something.
Traumatic injury of the week.
Yeah. This week's traumatic injury of the week. Boy, if you have Nick Chubb on your fantasy team, sorry, my friends.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
That was actual audio of Cleveland because the Browns season is now completely up in flames as their star running back suffered a gruesome knee injury against the Steelers on Monday night. It was so bad they didn't even want to replay it. during the broadcast. It's unfortunately the same knee that he had to have reconstructed when he injured it in college. This is, it's going to sink the Browns.
Yeah.
He's going to be out the whole season, definitely. But more importantly, given, his history with the knee, boy, it's hard to think how he's going to rebound from this.
Yeah, it's
At the very
man.
minimum, I think it's going to knock him out of elite status when he comes back. I can't imagine he's going to be the same running back coming back from that injury next year.
He's 28 years old. Not old necessarily.
Running back, that's
right.
old.
So by NFL standards, not old, but for running backs, it's getting up there, especially the way they've recently devalued the position. And now having the same knee essentially being reconstructed twice in a decade. I just feel so bad for the kid. I mean, he is phenomenal.
Yeah.
He was 4 or 5-time Pro Bowl or something like that, 4 straight seasons over 1,000 yards.
He was one of the guys I always recommended to draft the last couple of years. He was
just
always
super
a workhorse.
solid, just super, super solid. But he's got a high snap count. Knee reconstructed twice now after this injury. 28. I don't know. I don't know. He's going to miss the whole year. He's going to come back, be 29. I don't know what he's got left on his contract, but this is the type of injury where, maybe it's just a, gut reaction. But I'm like, dude, just call it. Just take whatever guaranteed money you have and go do ad reads for a local car dealership or something. Isn't that what every retired football player does? They go do ad reads for people.
If they're a star, yeah.
Yeah. Just ride off into the sunset. It's not worth it to completely destroy your mobility.
True, but I think he'll try to come back. But I definitely
he'll try. He shouldn't, but he'll try.
I definitely think though he won't be the. He's not going to be in the elite class after suffering this injury. He's going to have to lose a step. There's no way he's going to be as strong as he once was.
He'll be a good contributor on a running back by committee team.
Yeah.
The Eagles are always looking for washed up running backs.
Yeah, maybe next
so
year.
Send them our way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but man, I just feel so bad. It's it was. I mean, if you're really morbidly curious, go look it up. The injury, it is gruesome.
Yeah.
It is not pretty.
Yeah.
It's really upsetting.
Yeah. It's not the way a knee should bend.
No, imagine how a knee bends. Now imagine it the opposite direction.
Yeah, it's not good. And unfortunately for the Browns, I think this is going to sink their season. I mean, Nick Chubb was basically the engine behind that offense. I know they have Deshaun Watson.
I was going to say it hasn't been Deshaun Watson.
Right. Deshaun Watson has been just playing all right, but he hasn't been lighting it up. He hasn't been, contending for top 5 status or anything.
I mean, he's okay, but is he worth $230 million fully guaranteed?
Well, a lot of people would say he is because he's a playmaker. He's a playmaker and he can run around. Well, guess what? He's going to have to run around now because now teams aren't going to be afraid to, not play the run against them. They know Nick Chubb's not the running back that they're facing off against.
All I'm saying is that before he sexually assaulted 20+ women,
and that too, yeah.
He was completing 70% of his passes. He's now completing 55.
Oof.
I know he had quite a bit of time out of work. That's what happens when you do the thing that he did.
And get suspended for multiple seasons.
Right, exactly. It's not looking good for him right now. Cleveland's not a good team. They're just not.
They could have been.
They could have been. They have some good components. They have some good players in key spots. But, I just think maybe it's not a good situation for Watson, or maybe he's just not that great of a quarterback anymore after basically sitting out for 2 straight years. And then coming back and being suspended, then he comes back here and he loses his, star running back, and all the pressure is going to be on him. I don't know. So far, not great return on investment.
The Browns. We're gonna see if that was $230 million guaranteed.
$230 million guaranteed.
We're gonna see if that's money well spent, because if Deshaun Watson can't keep the offense floating, then I think the Browns' season is shot already here in week 2. I mean, you have an argument. It might be more devastating than Aaron Rodgers going down for the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's always a point of contention here for us on the podcast, but the Jets almost made the playoffs last year without Rodgers. The Browns are just the Browns, with or without Watson, with or without Chubb. The Jets are going to do better without Rodgers than the Browns do with. The Jets are going to be better, just as good without Rodgers. The Browns are going to be worse without Chubb and with Watson.
Yeah, it's the Brown season might officially got shot.
Yeah.
So
this is a worse case scenario than the Jets, I think.
yeah. So unfortunately, another big injury rocks the NFL world. I hope this is not a reoccurring segment, but if it is, we'll let you know. That'll be the new segment.
This is the way it's going.
Yeah, these players getting some major injuries here in the start of the season. But now let's move forward. Let's look ahead to week number 3. It is time for the segment where we're going to pick out 4 games that we think you should keep an eye out for, and we're going to give our predictions on them with the Fantastic Four picks. Ready, Mike?
Let's do it.
There you go. The music is on. What are the games?
All right, first up, we have 2 playoff teams that are struggling to stay relevant. We have the LA Chargers traveling to Minnesota to face off against the Vikings. It's a Sunday 1 o'clock game. Rich, who do you see winning this one? The odds makers are basically saying it's a straight pick 'em. It's so close.
Yeah.
So do you want to flip a coin right now? Which way are you going?
Honestly, yeah, I feel like you could, and I wouldn't, blame you. The Chargers are just, I don't know why it's always the Chargers. They always seem to have a really great offense and a really great defense, but they make these stupid mistakes, and they never pull off an actual good team.
I've literally been saying for decades, since LaDainian Tomlinson, do you remember?
Yes.
I say they are the most talented, underachieving team ever.
Yeah.
And it still remains true.
Yeah. And it's just mind-boggling. I think are they 0-2, I believe?
They're 0-2.
They're 0-2.
With Justin Herbert because, of course he's better than Hurts, according to all the rankings.
Yeah, we had that story a while ago.
We're 2-0.
Anyway, the Chargers are a good team, but they can't seem to put things together for a solid victory. And the Vikings, they're reeling off a loss to the Eagles. But I'm just gonna go with the simple trend that Kirk Cousins does extremely well at 1 p.m. afternoon games. It is weird. If you want to look it up, go ahead. He is fantastic in the 1 p.m. slot. There's just something about it.
The pressure's not on.
Yeah, I mean, it might be that.
It's that simple. He folds under pressure. There's no pressure at 1 p.m.
It might be that.
Nobody's watching.
I mean, only the Vikings and the Chargers fans will be.
Yeah.
So it might be that. You might be onto something. Kirk Cousins does well in 1 p.m. games. Vikings are at home as well. I think those are the intangibles that give the Vikings a win here in Minnesota.
It's the intangibles, but it's also the tangibles as well. Kirk Cousins, for as much as I hate that punk, he's putting up numbers, okay? For the numbers that he has, he should have won 2 games in a row. 6 touchdowns, 700 yards. He's thrown to Justin Jefferson, 20 receptions, over 300 yards in 2 games. Right now, the Chargers just can't keep up with that firepower. I'm going with the Vikings with this one as well at home. I think they'll be comfy there at home. Okay. So I'm going with Vikings as well. Next up, we have 2 surprise teams I didn't think we'd be talking about. The Atlanta Falcons at the Detroit Lions. This is another 1 p.m. game. Both teams kind of getting off to a somewhat of a surprising start here. Rich, what do you think?
Yeah, the Atlanta Falcons starting off 2-0 is shocking.
Desmond Ridder, man.
Yeah.
2-0. I don't know. What do you think?
So in this game, I think it's going to come down to quarterback play. And you might be talking, you might want to talk up Desmond Ridder all you want to, but I still am not buying him as the answer for quarterback. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I got to see more tape on him. But in my opinion, between these 2 quarterbacks, Jared Goff is a league better than Desmond Ridder. Jared Goff, don't forget, has been to a Super Bowl. He has had games and strokes of brilliance where he has put up big numbers. And I think he's going to do it here in this home game in Detroit. And, there's high expectations for this team. Dan Campbell is basically a coach on meth. He's just he is
Yes.
he is
Yes,
getting
he
the
is.
most out of these players. He's challenging them to do things that they wouldn't have thought about doing a couple seasons ago. I mean, literally knocking off the Chiefs. That's a big statement win at the beginning of this season for this team. I think this is where they get their mojo back at home. I'm going to take the Lions in this one.
I'm going to differ here. I'm going to take the underdog Falcons. They are the underdog because the best way to win a quarterback battle is to make sure the quarterbacks don't play. Bijan Robinson, the running backs for the Atlanta Falcons, they have one of the best ground games in the league right now. In addition to that, the Detroit Lions have a lot of injuries piling up. C.J. Gardner-Johnson out for the season. Linebackers out for the season. Injuries piling up. 1-1. I know they'll be comfy at home, but like I said, if the Falcons can keep it on the ground, take advantage of those injuries on the other side of the ball, keep the ball out of Jared Goff's hands, they might be able to sneak away with a win here. I'm going with the underdog Falcons.
All right.
Next up, we have returning to form. Two teams we haven't talked about in a positive light in quite some time. It's the New Orleans Saints traveling to Green Bay to face off against the Packers. Both these teams having a little bit of a resurgence here. Could they be returning to their previous status as elite teams in the NFL? They've gotten off to a pretty decent start so far, these two teams.
Yeah, the Saints have been playing very well. Derek Carr is kind of having a renaissance in New Orleans. And the Packers, so far, they have not been looking terrible with
Jordan Love is actually,
first
if
season.
they get a third one in a row, I swear to God, man, it's not even fair.
Yeah. I mean, Jordan Love,
It's not even fair.
he's looking decent. I'm just going to go still, though. It might be still too new to anoint him, the next Aaron Rodgers, the next Brett Favre.
Definitely.
I think he still is going to have some growing pains, especially against a tough Saints defense rolling into town.
I was going to say, you banking on that defense, bringing Jordan Love back down to earth?
I think to some degree. I think Saints are going to win a close one here.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The Saints are tough, and they have good weapons. Like, Green Bay still doesn't have a lot of weapons, weirdly, but the Saints on the other side, they have Olave, they have Michael Thomas, they have Taysom Hill. They just got a lot of stuff going on. They're 2-0 for a reason. I think they come in there to Green Bay and they upset the Packers a little bit, bring Jordan Love back down to earth, but watch out for him. Kid could be real. Almost 120 quarterback rating over 2 games. I know I would rather have that for Hurts.
Yeah.
So, so they're going to be there in the end of it. But right now I like the Saints.
Yeah. Jordan Love, he's not the reason why the Packers lost that game against the Falcons.
No. And finally, we have our very own hometown Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Tampa Bay to face off against the Buccaneers. This is a Monday night game, but not that night. It's a 7:15 game. It's a weird...
It's the first in a doubleheader.
So 7:15. Make sure you get that right. Don't tune in an hour late. But Rich, right after dinner, are you going to be able to digest, or is it going to give you some indigestion watching this?
Yeah, I might have to wait a little bit and try and catch up to fight the commercials.
Yeah.
Do like one of those things.
Right.
Wait 20 minutes.
You got
and then start.
Right, or pound some Tums or something before if you just had a big dinner or something. I don't know. How do you feel about this?
Look, I'm just going to say the Eagles should have had a lot of time to review game footage, come up with some new strategies, come up with new plays, and they need to iron out the kinks when it comes to some of these things that have been happening on the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to hope that they've done so in the week or so off that they've had, and I think they're going to be refreshed and ready to go, ready to roll into Tampa and put the hurt on a Tampa Bay team that, they might have a little bit of fun with Baker Mayfield, but I don't know if this team is actually going to be good for the rest of the season. This might be the moment that they realize that, they're still living in the cap hell from Tom Brady leaving. So I'm going Eagles all the way.
Yeah, I just got done talking about all of the positives we can take away from our 2 narrow victories. Remember, they are still victories. We're finding ways to beat teams in tough ways, and I think the Eagles will hopefully start to figure out that new offensive scheme that they're working with, the new offensive coordinator. They've had plenty of time to rest and practice and reevaluate. We're going to be getting some key players back for this matchup. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to go into Tampa and beat the Buccaneers. I think we match up well against them, so it should be a win. Should be a good way to get to 3-0.
All right, so there you go. That is our Fantastic Four picks for week number 3 of the NFL season. Yep. And now that we've said that, now the Eagles are going to lose 30 to 3 or something.
Probably.
Damn it. But no, we're staying by our picks there for our Fantastic Four picks. And with that, we're going to exit out of the sports sampler because there is a lot of there's a lot of other news to get to that doesn't involve our heart attacks and strokes associated with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, something a bit lighter, hopefully.
Yeah. Like a writer's strike.
Something like that.
Oh, there you go. You just go from one stressful thing to another.
Just light and airy stuff.
Yeah, that's how we do it here on the Crispy Noodle Podcast. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We got the entertainment entree and then the non-fortune cookie odd news as well when we return from the break. Don't go anywhere. This is the Crispy Noodle Podcast.
Ready for the weekend? Happy Friday. Hi, my name's Marie, and I'm an artist who's been making Happy Friday doodles every week for over 7 years. And now you can own my art collection in this Volume 1 and Volume 2 art series. These doodles span across multiple themes, yearly festivities, various countries, languages, and more. Both coffee table books have something for everyone and are the perfect conversation starter or gift for a friend. Really, anyone who enjoys a good weekend. Available on Amazon, Ingram, BookBaby, Barnes & Noble, and more. Visit happyfridaydoodles.com/books and get your copies today. Let's celebrate the best day of the week. Happy Friday.
If you go to Taco Bell at 3 a.m, this is what you're gonna get. Yeah,
That clip is already coming into play.
yes,
I love it.
already. So there you go.
Stop.
What happened?
The thing went on.
Well, how did that turn on? That was
I don't
weird.
know. The fart sound.
The fart sound turned Amazon on?
I think the fart sound turned on my Echo.
What the
I
hell?
don't know. It turned on.
What are you doing, Jeff Bezos? What are you into?
Basically, he's listening to fart sounds.
He's listening to our fart sounds. Oh my god.
I changed the trigger word to fart. I got to fart at it now. I don't know what happened.
That's really awkward. You're going to have to... Excuse me.
Excuse me. How can I help you?
You may need some bowel.
Do you want me to automatically order you Pepto-Bismol? I don't know why. I don't know why I'm talking to it solely through farts now.
It actually, you fart into it.
Fart
and-
once for yes and twice for no.
No. Actually, you fart into the device, and then
Yeah.
Amazon can determine what
you-
medicine you need.
Oh, right. Wow. That's next level right there. Or what you've been eating and what you want to reorder.
Oh.
I detect Cheetos. Would you like to subscribe?
Would you like a bulk order of Cheetos?
Ooh, yes, please.
Cheetos ordered.
Cheetos. That story took a turn.
Yeah.
Cheetos ordered.
Okay. All right. There you go. The latest from Jeff Bezos and Amazon.
It's amazing technology, I tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, we're back here on the Crispy Noodle Podcast. We are done the sports sampler and reviewing week number 2 of the NFL season. That's in the books. That's another good thing about the podcast, I feel like. It's good. It's like a weekly podcast, and it's like right situated after the weekends,
Yeah.
for the NFL season. So it's like we can have a fresh look on the upcoming week.
Yeah.
So
It was
I like.
It was weird having the Thursday night game because I had so much time to sit and dwell on it.
Yeah.
Like normally, it's like a Sunday or Monday night game. We get to record and it's like, 24, 36 hours after after the end of the game. We're like knee-jerk reaction. Thursday night, I'm just like sitting and thinking and reading and watching and reading and thinking and watching.
Yeah, that also probably doesn't help with our prognosis of the Eagles' problems.
Yeah.
That we've been stewing on it for the last couple of days.
I thought it was more positive because of it. Like,
Maybe?
Yeah, if it had been like a Sunday night game, I would have come in and been like, they suck, I hate them. Cut Hurts right now, bring back Nick Foles.
Not
No.
the guy.
Go full WIP caller.
Yeah, dear
No,
God.
no, don't do that.
No, please don't. We don't need another WIP listener. I can say that. They're not part of my union. Anyway.
Speaking of unions.
Yeah, speaking of unions, let's get to... We're going to have to talk about unions in the next part. Because we're going to talk about, movies, TV, actors, and actresses, and writers. You know where we're going. It's the entertainment entree, folks.
And now, the latest in movies.
The Simpson guy writes to movies. Dear Die Hard, you rock. Especially when that guy was on the roof.
Music.
I know what that is. That's music.
Video games.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
Celebrities.
You really know Warren Beatty?
Yes, I do. I took a leak next to him once at the Golden Globes.
And more.
You were the all-singing, all-dancing crap of the world.
This is the entertainment entree.
All right, there you go. And yes, instead of Mike's This Week in Entertainment, which is on hiatus until the strike ends, we have Hollywood strike updates. So,
yeah, I mean, there's never not news with the strikes.
Yeah.
Last week we talked briefly or at length, I don't remember, about Drew Barrymore.
Yep.
And her show. She was going to come back. It caused a whole bunch of controversy. Well,
yeah. By the way, she wasn't the only one.
Bill Maher.
Bill Maher tried to come back too.
A couple tried to come back, and because of the backlash, unsurprisingly, they all learned how to backpedal like all pro cornerbacks and reverse those decisions almost immediately. Drew Barrymore, Bill Maher, and others deciding not to resume production while the strike is ongoing.
Yeah, they were all proven wrong in their efforts.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because they said, we won't have any writing. But how do you do, I mean, we do this show. It's an hour and a half, give or take, hour to hour and a half. I mean, we don't write, but what constitutes writing? Because we have this as well.
Yeah, we do our own.
We wrote this, we researched, we wrote it, we came up with the flow, the themes. That's writing. So how can you just get up there and tape a live show with zero of that?
It's all improv.
It's all no, it's not.
I need
possible.
a person from the audience.
It gets very dicey because
I need the name of a restaurant over there.
Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, even those shows have, I know it's improv, but like they have like standard like pattern that they go to.
Yeah.
You know? Like so the line of what is and isn't writing is very blurry there.
I don't know how Drew Barrymore was going to get out of that argument.
Yeah.
With her show.
Right.
Bill Maher, he said he was going to cut out everything in his show except the panel discussion. So maybe that's how you can kind of navigate that.
Is he just going to come up with the questions on the fly?
Like, if you just have a discussion, is that not writing? Then I guess you're fine.
But does he show up with no questions? Because if he has questions, that's writing.
Does it have to be in the form of a question?
He just gets up there and he's like, hello.
News.
Discuss. He's like, guest one, say something, go.
Discuss.
I mean, maybe.
Does that? Yeah, I guess then that's not writing.
I think the point is the line is so blurry that You don't want to risk.
I mean, that's actually how we could do the show.
I mean, maybe.
Mike, sports.
I've always been a proponent, since we've started. I've always wanted to do a completely no script show.
We can't do that.
No, see, and that reaction right there
Dear
is
God.
why these shows, because we're doing this for shits and gigs.
Yeah.
Bill
We're
Maher's
having
getting
fun.
paid.
Yeah.
He's not going to get up there and not have any material.
Yeah.
So
Neil deGrasse Tyson, say something.
yeah, just go. Speak. You have 5 minutes.
Ben Affleck, get angry. Go.
It would be disaster. Nobody would watch.
Yeah.
It'd be insane.
Yeah.
There's a great deal of planning and content moderation that goes into creating content like that, especially for a production as big as Bill Maher's.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they all walk back their decision. People need solidarity at times like this to force the studios and the production companies to come to the table and negotiate. So I'm glad that Drew Barrymore and Bill Maher and all the other talk shows decided to walk back that decision. That's not the only strike update that we have, because there could be something else coming down the pike at some point. Marvel's in-house visual effects team officially passed a vote to unionize with IATSE, which is the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees.
Yahtzee?
IATSE, yeah. It sounds like Yahtzee. But this is the union that represents things like the lighting people, craft services, now visual effects artists, costumes, things like that. Everything that goes into the production behind the scenes, kind of. Visual effects teams are historically some of the worst treated employees on movie productions.
Yeah.
Famous example, Life of Pi. When that won Best Picture, they're like, oh my God, the visuals are amazing. That visual effects studio went bankrupt after the movie came out because they just did not get the profit sharing, the revenue sharing of this huge, successful, blockbuster, award-winning movie, and they went under. You hear horrible stories of crunch, especially with things like the Marvel movies. They're like 90% CG. Spider-Man isn't real, guys. I don't know if you realize that.
What?
I think it's like 90% CG. So I think it's awesome that they're unionizing. This really puts a lot of pressure on Disney now, because not only are there writers and actors on strike, but the people physically making the visuals of their movies could eventually strike if it comes to it, now that they are officially unionized.
Yeah, I would imagine that would hurt
That
their
would-
cartoon division and
Oh, yeah.
Pixar and all of them.
It would, well, right now it's just Marvel, but, once that first domino falls,
Yeah.
other visual effects studios are like, hey, wait a second. Why don't we get in on this too? And they should be.
Yeah.
They're artists, they're talent, just like the
It's
rest of
time
them.
it's time to get what's yours.
Yeah, exactly. Because the studios are not stopping. They're not slowing down. And this kind of perfectly pivots into the next conversation about Disney itself. Because Disney, for their part, this is kind of part strike update, part, separate
Actual
story,
news.
actual news. Disney is looking at pivoting completely away from traditional broadcasting and television. They are officially entertaining, quote unquote, entertaining offers for a buyer of their broadcast networks, including ABC and Fox.
Yeah.
So now it gets a little dicey when it comes to media rights and IP and everything like that. I'm still not certain, and I couldn't find an answer, if this is just the broadcast network or if this is all of the IP and content rights that are involved in those things. So are they purchasing just the stations, or are they purchasing the IP behind it as well?
I
Because
think it might be everything.
Because the way that Disney, I was looking at the corporate structure. It
Yeah,
is wild. It's like
soup.
It's like Walt Disney Studios. Then it's like movies, music, TV. Then another kind of TV, like 4 kinds of TV under the TV brand, and then under those TV brands, it's like Russian nesting dolls of companies and divisions. And I dug and I dug and I dug, and I'm like, the lawyers made it that way for a reason.
Yeah.
I couldn't do the Wikipedia research to find an answer, but hopefully the buyers of ABC will be able to do the research. Media mogul Byron Allen made a preliminary offer of $10 billion for ABC, FX, and National Geographic specifically. Disney wants to hold on to ESPN for the money. That's their big cash cow, or one of them. They probably want to hold on to National Geographic, too, because of all of the content tie-ins they have with Disney+. So it's going to be hard to find a buyer willing to only buy ABC broadcast.
Yeah.
I think
they're going to have to lump it all into one thing.
It's going to be really hard to spin off. I would assume if I'm a buyer, I'm like, no, I want the ESPN and National Geographic stuff. I don't just want ABC.
Yeah.
It's not enough, basically.
Yeah. I would agree as well. Yeah. I think it's going to be a tough, if you're going to try and surgically cut out certain things from the deal, I think it's going to be difficult to do that.
Yeah. But this kind of, we were talking about it via text before the show. This is kind of a nail in the coffin moment
I think
for broadcast
more
television.
than the nail. This is like a damn soldering. This is it. This is
They're soldering the casket shut.
Yeah, this is the death knell. This is everything because literally there's a quote from Bob Iger saying,
I think it was traditional television.
Yeah, that's done.
Yeah.
That is the past. The streaming is Disney's future. He said that on a call to a VP. I think that's all you need to know, folks. The leader of Disney is saying traditional TV's over. It's dead.
We've been trending in this direction. Yeah.
It's radioactive. Get the concrete truck out. Pour some concrete over it.
Yeah.
It's done.
Fill in the hole.
Yeah,
It's done.
It's done.
Over the course of this podcast, we've kind of seen this evolution over the past 10 years. When we started, Netflix originals was like just becoming a thing.
Yeah. House of Cards.
Talking about the launch of House of Cards and Stranger Things. And, it's like, I remember in the past, many, many moons ago, talking about how Netflix had a movie and a TV show nominated for Best Picture and Best Drama. Whoa, the first one. And I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we're like, all of the nominees are streaming services. There's only one show from NBC nominated. Well, here you go. Just look at the progress of the show. We went from streaming being in its very infant form to now, 10 years later.
It's the standard.
It's the standard. It's not even news anymore. When we get on and talk about award shows, I don't even bother mentioning how many nominations Netflix has because it's just a given.
Yeah. And this headline itself is not surprising, but I do think it is something to take a step back and realize this is probably the end of the era for broadcast TV and traditional TV.
When's the last time you turned on the television, went to the Comcast or Verizon guide, and found something to watch?
Yeah.
Really press yourselves, guys. You don't even have cable.
Yeah, I don't even have cable.
Why am I even asking you? He doesn't even own cable.
I just have YouTube TV, which is streaming.
Yeah. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how far.
I can tell you the last time I went to actual TV it's to watch the Eagles.
Yeah. How about in a non-sporting capacity?
Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, you love.
No, that's it.
You love your Gordon Ramsay.
And occasionally I'll watch America's Got Talent, but I can find Hell's Kitchen streaming online. I don't have to watch it on cable.
My Samsung TV has a dedicated Hell's Kitchen channel.
I love it. Mine too. It's either that or Kitchen Nightmares.
You can watch all the Gordon Ramsay you want.
It's just so good.
But you should join Rachel in watching Hotel Hell and see his butt cheeks.
I would love it. Some tasty Gordon Ramsay butt cheeks.
Yeah, because apparently he shows them off in the entire first season.
That rump roast will make a rump roast, something like that. I didn't realize he showed his butt that much in what is it? In
Hotel Hell.
Hotel Hell. You think that was in the contract? I have to show my butt once an episode?
It seems like it because it's every episode in the first season he shows his ass.
Every 45 minutes of airtime, there has to be X number of cheeks. Is there an equation?
There must be one shower attempt.
One shower attempt per episode.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like that might have been written in
the cheek to screen time ratio shall not exceed.
Yeah, that might have been in the script.
Gordon flashes to the camera. But that's that brilliant WGA writing. No, I kid.
That's what they're fighting for.
That's what they're fighting for, man. No, but in all seriousness, circling back to Disney, this is it's crazy to think about, for my entire life, Disney, ABC, they've kind of been one and the same, and to kind of splinter off. I think they bought them in 90. It was like the early, it was like early mid 90s. So for all intents and purposes,
95, 96, somewhere around there.
Like all intents and purposes, our whole life.
Yeah,
just about.
It's always been like ABC Disney.
Yeah,
but they're looking to jettison them now.
So it's gonna be weird. It could also face regulatory critique though, because if one of these other media groups that own other stations tries to buy them, I think it's something like no group can own more than like 2 of like the big like broadcast networks. So I don't know how that's gonna fare. I don't know how Disney got around it with ABC and Fox. Actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, so much for that. Disney didn't have a problem with that.
I think it's because Fox spun off Fox News, technically.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to follow this. Knowing the way that things go, Disney will probably sell like immediately after we finish recording.
Yeah, they'll find a buyer.
But, this does, to go back to the strike stuff, this goes to show you how important it is for these strikes to succeed. Because Disney's saying traditional TV doesn't matter. Like they've just said, traditional TV is dead.
Yeah.
But
they've officially made the death knell.
So how can they then turn around and be like, but guys, look at all your residuals on broadcast networks? Well, like these things don't match up. They can't be like, it's dead, but they only want to give residuals on those dead things.
I feel like it's the other way around. I think it's like, oh, snap. At some point, we're going to have to give in to this writer's strike.
Yeah.
And their streaming demands. Then we need to make more streaming. Streaming needs to be more of a priority, so we make more off of streaming so that we can pay those off.
So you're kind of saying, like, if anything, the strike made them realize that they need to shed some of this dead weight.
I think inadvertently
get lean with the streaming.
Yeah, I think inadvertently it might have forced broadcasting channels to be removed from Disney's portfolio.
If I'm the unions, I just hammer that. I'm like, you guys just said it.
Yeah, they're making their argument.
It's like, you guys said it. It's dead. You want streaming to be the future. Pay us the residuals. Yeah. If we're going to make your streaming content, you clearly need us to succeed.
Yeah. It should be the argument they use, but, well, it is Disney.
The strikes are going strong. It is Disney. The House of Mouse is formidable. That's why the unions got to stick together, and Drew Barrymore can't throw a wrench into the works.
Yeah, stop that.
It was so weird last week. I saw the headline. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Who even is she? I can't even name one thing she's done. She did E.T., right?
Yeah.
That's it. I can't think of another one.
Riding in cars with boys.
And she's trying to be a scab and bust the strike.
Well,
unreal.
Like I said last week, it's one of two things. Either she really is that dumb and doesn't realize what's going on.
Ding, ding, ding.
Or she's playing that angle up and she was going to get a kickback trying to do this stunt.
Well, it failed.
Yeah. So I don't know which one it is. It's probably the first.
It's probably the first.
But you never know.
You never know. But yeah, so Disney basically signaling the end of broadcast television.
Yeah. And I agree, actually. I kind of think when the baby boomers officially like die off and they're not a consistent part of the marketing audience. I mean, I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's game over.
I mean, look at our generation. I can't think of anybody in our age group that's like, oh yeah, I turned on CBS last night to catch the latest Big Bang Theory. I don't hear anybody saying that. Or something of the kind.
Yeah. I caught,
I was just flipping through the channels. What does it even mean?
Yeah, you don't flip through channels anymore.
I saw TikTok. A Gen, I can't remember if it was a millennial or a Gen X asked their kid, what does change the channel mean?
Oh my God, I didn't know what that meant.
And the kid was like, I think it means like change, like what streaming service, like pick a different show to watch. But like the concept of changing the channel, like flipping through the channels, does not exist to Gen Alpha and some of young Gen Z. Like,
I didn't even realize that.
It is already, like the clicker.
All right. I gotta come clean.
What?
I've been told I'm officially old.
I've been telling you that for years.
No, but like
you've heard it from other third party,
multiple third parties.
Oh no, Rich.
Yeah, my wife, my nieces and nephews.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, I'm officially.
They're Gen Z, right?
I guess so.
If they called you old, you are old.
Yeah, because I said clicker. They said,
man.
what do you...
You should ask them what change the channel means.
Boy, I might have to.
Pick the youngest one and be like, what does change the channel mean? Because streaming, there's no channels.
Yeah, that's
so it's not a concept like, oh, go to like 6 ABC or Fox 29. Like that's not a thing.
No.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
let that one stew for a moment.
Yeah.
As we talk about something something to take our minds off of that, we have a big video game news dump. Couple of stories here real quick in the world of video games. So just real quick, the biggest one, probably the giant Xbox leak that happened recently. This is hilarious.
Yeah, I even saw this.
As part of their court cases involving the FTC in trying to gobble up Activision, Microsoft accidentally uploaded, I think it was like 30-some terabytes of data to the court systems. And everyone's like, oh, this is like your entire product roadmap. So we have a bit of detail here about what Xbox is planning over the next 4 or 5 years. Pretty interesting things have come to light. So just right off the bat, first one, they're planning next year to launch a revised Xbox Series X with no disk drive. Talking about the death of broadcast television, the death of physical media has been upon us for quite some time.
Yeah.
And so it's time for video game consoles to, also nail their coffin shut. So Xbox will be debuting that console in 2024. They also, beyond that, on their roadmap, have indicated that their next-gen console will launch sometime in 2028. So if anybody's wondering, when's the next PlayStation? When's the next Xbox? 2028. There's your answer.
You got it.
It's that simple. It's 2028.
Definitive answer.
Internally, that's what they're targeting. It's not going to come before that. They're not going to be like, surprise. So it's 2028 or it's 2029. So don't get your hopes up.
There you
so
go.
start planning now.
Yeah, there you go. That's all you got.
Who would have guessed? Like, surprise! Like, Jesus Christ!
There's none of that happening.
Like, it's just so funny that this leaked because now, like, the entire video game world is like, okay, cool. So now nobody has to worry about like, oh, will they, won't they? Is my game gonna, release like at the wrong time? Now the whole video game world knows.
Yep.
But what's interesting though is some of the information surrounding this console in their internal documentation. They have it labeled as a hybrid. What is it? Cloud hybrid games, which for me is a little worrying. So the concept is that they're going to use cloud computing to kind of like bolster the processing power. So things will not be processed on the local console. They're going to use some computing power on, cloud servers to kind of boost what the hardware would normally be capable of. Basically, make it an infinite hardware kind of solution. It sounds really complicated. It sounds like that's where they want to go, just in games in general. A lot has been talked about, cloud computing. But for games, I just think the level of interactivity makes this really, really difficult. Like, I can't even begin to visualize how this works. Like, what happens if your internet's a little spotty?
Yeah.
Like, do parts of your game world just disappear? Does it dynamically downsample to, like standard
240p?
definition? Like what happens?
Yeah, I don't know. And they haven't even figured this out really for like remote play.
Yeah, like remote play and
issues.
Streaming is still spotty. How are you gonna use? Maybe it's not as intense as I imagine. I just don't know what that interface is going to look like.
Yeah,
how you borrow computing from the cloud server to process the game.
Yeah, that seems still like we're 30 years away from that.
Yeah, it seems pretty futuristic, but that's what they've labeled it. Next gen, calendar year 2028, cloud hybrid games. Interesting stuff.
But the headline that I think is the one you need to take away from this is the fact that Microsoft and Xbox were seriously considering plans to go after Nintendo and buy out Nintendo.
Oh, good for you.
What?
That is really, everybody's joked about it. It's like, oh, Microsoft is going to just completely buy Sony or Nintendo next. When you have FU money like Microsoft, anything is possible.
Yeah. Kevin Garnett, anything is possible. That is ridiculous. You're literally creating a monopoly. Like, how does that not get blocked?
I mean, there's only 3 console manufacturers in the game.
Yeah. And 2 of them are going to merge.
And 2 of them would merge. I feel like that would absolutely get blocked. But it's kind of worrying that they've had a little bit of resistance to them buying Activision and Bethesda. And I'm starting to wonder, like, maybe if it wouldn't be that difficult to overcome the regulatory hurdles. Because I can see Xbox right now. Well, there's PC. Anybody can buy a PC. Anybody can develop for PC. It's, it's open. It's an open platform. And there's always PlayStation as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like the ease of which, the relative ease of which they've acquired Activision for $70 billion. It starts to make me wonder.
Yeah.
What exactly is the reach of their influence in games right now?
Yeah, maybe it is possible. Maybe it wouldn't be so hard. I don't know.
What really pisses me off is, like, that's the wrong way to make games.
Yeah.
Like, that book I read, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, it's about making games. 2 people struggling to make games, right? What Microsoft is doing is the antithesis of whatever the heck that book is about. No, I'm serious, guys. Go read the book, and like it's about people coming up in the 90s making games and finding success and finding adversity. But Microsoft is just buying the games. They're like, I like that. I want it. Here's $70 billion, and nobody else can use it now. I'm going to take my ball and go home. Like, doesn't that frustrate anybody?
Yeah, it's the complete ass-backwards way to run the video game industry.
Yeah, it's a creative process, and they're not being creative. They're just throwing money at it.
Yeah, very very dystopian if that's the way we're going.
Yeah. And I know everybody's going to say, what about when Sony buys a company? Because, I've spoken positively of that before. It's different because Sony works with developers to create content specifically for their console. And then after years of working with that developer, they will buy them. But it's not, just throwing money at the biggest publishers and the biggest developers. They're buying small teams. They're buying, small groups, some larger groups that they have a long history with, that they've partnered with, that they've invested in before they buy them. Microsoft is just buying the biggest guys on the block.
Yeah, sooner or later they're going to buy Rockstar. That's coming down the pike.
They bought Activision.
Yeah.
$70 billion. Activision is one of the few, like, top-tier big publishers, like EA, Ubisoft, Activision, Take-Two, and then the console manufacturers. Microsoft bought one of those, like, big 7.
Yep.
Like, that's
and
shocking.
now there's big 6.
And now, give or take.
So that means another 5 years are going to be big 5.
Yeah, right?
Just cross out, cross out, cross out.
I don't think, though, that Nintendo would sell. That's the thing. I think that Nintendo I've read a bit about it, being a Japanese company, they don't like the idea of selling to an American company. That Japanese game studios have a lot of, like, they have a lot of integrity, and that they want to keep things in-house with them the way that they do things.
So you're just saying Microsoft doubled the offer. At some point, Microsoft is just going to have so much money.
Do you think there's a figure that Nintendo won't be able to ignore?
Right. Like, billion? Start throwing the B word around.
I mean, it would have to be more than $70 billion because Activision is $70 billion and they don't make consoles. So to buy Nintendo, you'd have to get to like the stupid crazy number of like probably $100 billion. Like Activision they make games, but Nintendo like owns handhelds and consoles. Super Mario, Pokemon, Donkey Kong, Kirby, Zelda. Like these, every gamer, even non-gamers know these IP. Like, yes, Call of Duty is huge, but Mario has such a long and profitable history. Pokemon and everything that they've done.
Yeah, it's
like, what's the figure? Is it 100? Is it 100 billion?
I don't know. When you start throwing the B word around, it's like Succession. It's like, oh my god, like
it's make believe news.
Yeah, is this even real? Like, is this even a real number?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's all crazy.
Yeah.
It's all crazy. Well, those are the big video game stories that we had, but we're not done yet, folks, because no meal is complete without a little tasty bit of dessert. And here on the Crispy Noodle podcast, our dessert comes in a very unique packaging. It's time for the Non-Fortune Cookie Odd News.
We've been talking about cool and its ramifications and how it applies to the hip scene. But maybe you could give us some examples now of the opposite of cool, uncool. Just exactly what is uncool?
My nipples look like milk duds.
Holy shnikes.
It's time for the Non-Fortune Cookie Odd News.
It's not of this world. I don't know exactly what it is or what it's doing, but this is not human intelligence, okay? It's not human intelligence we're facing.
How you doing? Me? I'm doing great.
Manda bastards. I don't make this stuff up.
I'll take a pound of nuts.
That's a lot of nuts. That'll be $4, baby. You want fries with that? I seen the celery dance across the baseball fields.
You had me at meat tornado.
No, go past this. Past this part. In fact, never play this again.
Okay. What does that mean?
And now it's time for the Non-Fortune Cookie Odd News.
So sit back, get everything you need to get from the kitchen. Be sure and empty the bladders, go to the bathroom, because you're in for a hell of a ride.
Woo, odd news.
That's right, everyone. It's time for the Non-Fortune Cookie Odd News. Here in this segment, Rich researches the news, he reads the news, and I react to the news. He finds a weird and wacky story and keeps it hidden from me, which ensures that all of my reactions are my genuine gut reactions to hearing this story for the very first time. I don't know what's about to happen. You guys don't know what's about to happen. And even Rich doesn't know what's about to happen because these stories always take us down wacky and wild paths. And I'm ready to get started. Do I need to ask where we're going?
No, you don't.
Now, who is this guy in Florida?
It's Florida, and they're crazy.
Yep.
We're going home, baby.
Going
We're
to
going
Florida.
home. Back
Yep.
to Florida.
Yep, back to Florida.
The warm embrace of crazy Florida.
Yep. I've got to take some issue with this because
okay.
you know I
All
come from the well-known land of Norristown,
Of course, world-renowned
world-renowned
for their sandwiches of tomatoes and onions.
yes, and world-renowned for the Swiss cheese pervert.
Of course, yes.
You know, this was a guy that we had a couple years ago.
Okay, Chris Collinsworth. This was a guy.
This was a guy
who put cheese on his junk.
he would drive up to girls on the street, lower the window, and like dangle the cheese while he exposed himself to girls out on the street.
I never quite understood. Was it bait? Was it supposed to? Was it like ooh? They're like ooh cheese, and they're like oh wait, that's not cheese.
That's a penis.
That's a penis.
Yes, I think that's how it went. I don't know, but we had the
It's like
Swiss
a fishing lure.
Yes, we had the Swiss cheese pervert here in Norristown.
There was a bit of a nastiness last night, yes? Some very extreme nastiness, yes? Yes.
And I don't know about this story. I don't know if this is someone trying to put their own spin on it.
Uh-oh.
But I'm disappointed in you, Florida.
Is this another cheese pervert?
No.
Okay.
Is
this a meat pervert?
No. But the MO is very similar.
Okay.
Because we're gonna follow the case of 56-year-old Kurt Jenkins.
Okay.
So he's Kurt Jenkins. Yes.
I'm 50. 50 years old.
56.
56.
Yeah,
Almost.
close. Almost. Yeah. So cops said that this guy Kurt Jenkins was driving around Boynton Beach.
Boynton Beach.
Boynton Beach. That's an interesting name. Boynton Beach.
That is interesting. I'm going to look it up.
Yeah. Boynton.
Wow, it's got a population of like 80,000.
Oh, so it's a popular area.
I had no idea. Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's driving around Boynton Beach.
Yep, he's driving around Boynton Beach, and cops said that while he was driving his Toyota along the beach sidewalks, he would pull alongside girls and lower the window to show that he was naked.
Classic.
Yes.
Well, it was very erotic. Yes, indeed. It was erotic.
But according to police, the observers said that not only was he naked, but he had electrical wires wrapped up in his penis.
What does that even mean? Electrical wires
wrapped up on his penis.
Like what do you mean by electrical wires?
Like a coil of wires
wrapped around.
Yes, he's almost creating like an orifice of wires.
Okay. That's weird.
Yes.
It's a little odd.
Dear
It can't
God.
possibly be comfortable.
I don't know. It must have got him off.
To wrap wire?
Yes. He
We say
loves
electrical. I'm still trying to understand what you mean by electrical wire. Like cords, like this, or like wiring,
like copper wire.
like copper wire.
I'm talking about like copper
like
wires.
actual. Okay.
Yes.
That's
like something that would be like if
inside your walls.
Inside your walls. Yes.
Okay.
This dude is he's coming into your houses. And he's
That seems like
taking out the
a lot
copper
of
wire.
effort.
Not, you know what? Not if this lights up your boat. You know,
Did it light up his boat?
If it lights up your pinball machine, I don't know. What the hell?
Lights up your pinball machine. You only get 2 balls.
Yeah.
It's a cheap pinball machine.
Yeah, sorry. You know, there's no multi-ball on this.
No, there's no multi-ball. There's no free play.
Yeah.
So did it work? Are they like, ooh, copper wire?
Well, it worked for him. And also, I don't know how exactly, but apparently there was a low electrical current that ran. So this was hooked up to some sort of battery or something.
Did he make his penis a Tesla coil? Say, hey, ladies, you want to see something shocking? I think he made his penis a Tesla coil.
Yeah, he did something. He's that tower is active.
Do you get a shock if you touch it?
Well, that's what he must.
Like, is that what he's going for? He's trying to be like all playful, be like, oh, you want to see something shocking? Or like, oh, you touch this and you'll get a jolt. Like, you know, something will. I don't know. Like what?
Oh wait, the police report does say that it was based on an eye relieve muscle stimulator.
What?
So he took an eye relieve muscle stimulator and used that for the power. So I guess that's how he was able to make sure that it wasn't like lethal or dangerous.
Yeah, what happens if you like electrocute your penis because you?
Yeah, he didn't hook it up to the car battery.
Okay.
These were 2 separate sources of power. So that's good. That's fine. At least he's not killing himself.
No.
But still, he's driving around in this Toyota, in his own Toyota, and he's naked, and he's got
electrical equipment
on his equipment.
He made a lightning rod.
Literally, yes. He's. This is how he's driving around Boynton Beach.
I just don't think that's comfortable. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not.
It got him going. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, it was very erotic. Yes, indeed. It was erotic.
And like the Swiss cheese pervert, he would pull alongside the beach sidewalks, gesture at girls to look at his crotch.
But who falls for that?
Hey, what's going on in there?
He pulls up and say, hey, take a look over here. And everyone's like, ooh, yes, please. If there's no cheese involved, I'm not walking up to a stranger's car. I'm just
See?
I don't care.
In Norristown.
See, Norristown had it right. Because
Norristown, we did it right.
Be honest. Somebody pulls up next to you. They're like, I have cheese. There's a non-0% of your brain that's like,
ooh, cheese.
I do like cheese.
Yeah. What's happening?
But if this guy pulls up and he just motions vulgarly.
No, you just hear the like what's I don't know if I want to be a part of that.
Yeah, I'm walking away from that. But if somebody pulls up, they're dangling cheese, I'm like, ooh. There's a non-zero chance that I'm at least entertaining the thought of maybe seeing what the cheese has to offer.
The police report said that Jenkins would be completely naked and that onlookers would see the electronic device with copper wires wrapped around Jenkins's penis.
God, that does not sound comfortable.
He even at one point opened his car door if anyone wanted to join him.
Weird.
But
that's the driver's side.
But also, I just realized, how's he, like, if it's all wrapped around, like, you can't get, like, a handy.
Yeah, like, do you have to unwrap it first? You're like unspooling this thing. Maybe that's what he wants.
Oh, my God.
Maybe he's like, oh, no, I'm trapped. I need help.
Yeah. Oh no, you have to help me.
Oh no, it might electrocute me. Please help me.
Some sexual terrorist has wrapped me up.
Some sexual terrorist. They've taken my penis hostage. Oh no. Help me.
You have to unwrap it.
You have to unwrap it.
There's no time to talk.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do when it's wrapped up in like with a live wire. Like I don't know. It just seems like it just doesn't seem like a good idea. And he's also
Florida.
completely naked. They
Yes,
said
he's completely naked.
like head to foot, completely naked.
Yes.
In the Florida heat. Really, that's gross.
Well, I hope he's got the air conditioner running.
I hope so.
I mean, if you've got the muscle stimulator running, I hope you have the air conditioner running.
Oh man. Does it run on battery? Does it have it hooked up to like the little USB ports or something in the car? How is he running this thing?
I guess he has to charge the muscle stimulator.
Because he's driving.
Anybody got a charger?
Hey there, you got a charger?
You got a USB charger? I can't use Apple.
I can't use Apple yet. Oh man. That's awesome.
Yes, and unfortunately, cops really had to come and help out the situation and confront him because he started to drive closer to a school.
Oh.
And yeah, that's definitely a no-no.
No.
Parents were snapping photos of the Toyota and the naked driver and sending them to cops to get him before.
Oh, to send him to I thought the parents were just like, this is weird. Click, 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 click.
Wait till Jim hears this at work tomorrow.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, no, it was to make sure that the cops knew which car to go after.
Oh man,
they were able to stop. They were able to get right in front of his Toyota before he reached the school, open the driver's door, and grab Jenkins and arrest him.
Well, that's good. They got him.
He was. I know you'll love this.
Was he still humming? You have the right to remain silent.
Sorry, I can't control that officer.
Yeah,
sorry.
It's just, one of those things.
Did they have to get like the bomb squad in? Like someone's got to get down there and unhook it.
Did they know what it was?
Like someone's got to get the tools.
Because like if you don't know what it is and you just see like wires and an electrical device and it's humming, like you might assume he's got a bomb on his penis.
Yeah. Is the bomb squad there? Like some
I don't know.
Or just someone that's really good with tools. There's hey Bob, we need you down here.
We need you down here.
Yeah. I know you'll like this. The list of charges here.
Lascivious, let's go.
Yep, he got.
Yes.
He got. No, wait. Better. He got lewd and lascivious exhibition.
Whoa.
Ooh, yeah. Fancy.
Wow.
There was a bit of a nastiness last night, yes? Some very extreme nastiness, yes? Yes.
Yeah,
usually it's behavior, but exhibition, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's...
Lewd and lascivious exhibition.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a mouthful.
Yeah. He also got charged with exposure of sexual organs. Well, he definitely did that.
That's my favorite. No, because it's just funny. They call him sexual.
That's my favorite. Out of all the crimes, that's my favorite.
I like it when the organs are exposed.
That's my favorite.
I just find it funny they call them sexual organs.
I suppose the other organs.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's my liver. Arrest that man!
Exposure of organs. Like, it's just like a typo. This man's just like walking around with his like pancreas hanging out or something.
Oh no!
Oh no! Oh no! I dropped my spleen.
Arrest that man!
He's exposing his organs.
Exposure of organs. And the final charge, he was charged with resisting a law enforcement officer without violence.
Nah.
So, no, you're just nah. That one doesn't do anything.
That one's boring. It's not as exciting as Organs.
Yeah.
And Lewd and Lascivious Exhibition. Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh,
I almost said exposition.
No, this is
He's just
exhibition.
describing it crudely.
Yes. The wires.
They are wrapped around my sexual organ.
They're tight.
But they both pulse in time.
Oh, yeah, pulse. That's gross. And yeah, it was confirmed to be an eye relief muscle stimulator. That was the battery powering this makeshift sexual device.
Where did he get? I assume that this eye relief doesn't come with a spool of copper wire.
No, he had to hotwire this.
So he got the copper wire from somewhere else. Like he went to I don't know, can you buy it at Lowe's? I don't know. You just go to Lowe's, you're like, I need some wire, but just enough to wrap around
I have
my
a
penis.
do-it-yourself project I need help with.
Yeah, right. How much do you need?
How come that's not in the commercial?
It's like not much, just like 5 or 6 inches worth.
Whenever you see those commercials, it's like, come on down, we'll help you with your do-it-yourself project.
Yeah.
You don't get this guy.
No, that Lowe's associate, not happy with that one.
Yeah.
So he sourced his copper wire, and then he
I've got balls of steel.
balls of copper. Balls of copper, more accurately.
I think that's a very accurate summation of this.
I've got balls of steel.
And a rod of copper. Oh my God.
So
that's awesome.
Yep. Thank you, Florida. You just keep hitting the home runs, don't you?
Are you okay down there? Your penis?
I've never heard that one before. Is that a new one?
No, I had that one saved for you, Mike.
Wow.
Are you okay down there? Your penis?
Your penis.
Are you okay down there? Your penis?
Is that The Walking Dead?
Yes, it is, Negan.
When did that happen? What? Did I miss something?
Yes, you did, apparently. You missed the episode where he goes to Florida. And he gets some copper wire.
Negan meets this guy.
Yeah.
Man.
You like copper, do you?
I don't know what I missed in the last 2 seasons of that show.
Are you okay down there? Your penis?
Weird.
Yeah.
All right, then.
You gotta have some fun down there.
I got my fingers crossed for a little freaky dinky.
Negan was great. Okay,
Yes.
just side note, he was fantastic.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan is amazing.
Yeah.
He could just have him read anything in the Negan character. I'll watch it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But there you go. True odd news story there. Just when you think you've heard it all. Researching this. I've said this to multiple people. Like, we've been doing this show now for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
I did, even before this, I did radio on college radio. I did college radio where I was doing a similar format for 4 years. I've been doing this for almost 15 years.
That's a lot of odd news.
And the stories are still new.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing.
And I don't know if everybody is our long-term listeners, but just history here. We do 1 or 2 stories a week now. Rich used to roll up with no less than 5 or 6 of these MFers.
Yeah, when we were doing the big bulk 2-hour podcast.
Like
yeah.
a folder of odd news stories.
Yeah.
So we're talking thousands of odd news, and it never gets old, and it's always
There's
new.
always something new.
I've never heard a story like this. And next week, it'll be another story I've never heard before.
Yeah. Thank you, Florida.
And they're like 50+% Florida.
Yeah, they're always Florida. What the hell's happening down there?
Out of control.
Yeah. But that's what gives us our content for the non-fortune cookie odd news, as well as everything that we do with the entertainment entree and the sports sampler. That's how you get the Crispy Noodle podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure you go to our website, thecrispynoodle.com. Make sure you follow us on social media, on Facebook, on X, formerly known as Twitter or whatever, and Instagram. Follow us at all those channels there. But most importantly, make sure you have a way to get every episode of the podcast sent to you on Wednesdays. We have 3 ways to do that. You can do that either on YouTube. Just hit the subscribe button on YouTube and you'll get the podcast sent to you on YouTube. You can do it on Facebook. We post the video podcast on Facebook Watch, so you can watch us directly on Facebook. But also, we publish the video podcast on Spotify. You can get the video podcast there. But also, as well, you can put Spotify on in the background and listen to us as an audio-only podcast. And therefore, you can take us on the go with you on Spotify by using Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So you can take us on the go if you need to. If you're driving around beaches with copper on your junk, why not?
You need some good content to listen to while you've got your cheese and or copper wire.
Yes.
Don't forget the classics.
Yes.
So many ways to get to check out the Crispy Noodle podcast, but if you need to get in touch with us individually to share your sports, entertainment, or odd news stories, you can find us individually on X. I'm at Mikey Costanzo, MikeyCostanzo.
And I'm at Richard Liebig, RichLiebig. Find us on X, formerly known as Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Send us a message, and if we use your content, we'll give you a sausage shout out.
It won't be wrapped in copper, though.
No, it won't. No, thank you.
Nope.
But for right now, we got to start wrapping this up. This has been the Crispy Noodle podcast. Let us be the Crispy Noodle in your vegetarian salad of life and boring news. That'll do it. We'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.
Later. Bye-bye, all you fine peoples. Good night.
Some of us have great stories, pretty stories that take place at lakes with boats and friends and noodle salad. A lot of people, that's their story. Good times, noodle salad.